Shout out to my High Minute, man. Greatest blog in the universe. Don't fucking laugh at it. It's your own promo.
I appreciate it.
They doing a great job of really putting the spotlight on Denver music and artists, and that's real important for the scene. Go tap in. Make sure you following Mile High Minute. Make sure you paying attention to the things they promoting, because they really showing a lot of the that's going on with the hip hop scene in Denver, Colorado, and that's an important role to be playing. Nobody plays it better than them. You're ruining your own promo.
I'll tell you what. Mile High Minute, #1 blog in the universe, man. Today we got a very special guest, Box State Baby, man, Colorado original, one of the, I'd say, real leaders in the scene, you know what I'm saying? I've really never seen anyone, like, say anything bad about you, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, everyone's going to have their haters, but, like, very well-respected person in the city, you know what I'm saying? From all the main artists, you know, the Trev Riches, Interstate Ikes, everyone else, down to the new ones coming up, you know what I'm saying?
That's
so
dope.
I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. So let's dive in your backstory first. Let the people get to know who Stevie Buggz is, man.
Yeah, from the get-go?
Yeah, from the jump. Where are you originally from?
Okay. I was born in the Springs.
Oh, okay.
I was there as a little kid, and then I moved to Maryland. Went to like kindergarten and first grade in Maryland. Moved back out to the Springs. Went to elementary school out there, you know what I'm saying? And I was living with my grandparents at the time. My mom was living up here in Denver. Then she graduated her college program, and she took an internship out in Missouri. Moved out. That's when I started living with my mom. We moved out in Columbia, Missouri. Lived there for a year, and then 7th grade I moved here to Aurora. So I've been in this part of the town since 2001.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I wasn't expecting the Springs. I always just, from what I've heard, you always talk about Aurora.
Yeah.
So
people don't realize. I mean, I would say
You're
Aurora
young.
is the first place that really felt like my hometown. You know what I'm saying?
Because you're so young.
Yeah,
the Springs.
I fell into line with just like the kids here, and everywhere else I had stayed, it was like I was a transplant. I was only there for a short period of time. I never really felt like anywhere was home. And then we just stayed in Denver so long that, you know, this really became home for real.
Okay. So originally born in the Springs, though, and that's where you'd say your first memories are, like
for
growing
sure.
up? Okay.
Yeah.
What was life like out in the Springs, and what part of the Springs? Because, you know.
Man, so, I mean, I think this will surprise a lot of people, but, you know, when I was a little kid, I lived with my grandparents. They have a nice house in Colorado Springs. They're in the Rock Rimmon area, you know what I'm saying? Right there with the mountains. The elementary school I went to was like all white kids. You know what I'm saying? So 2nd through 5th grade, it was like all white kids. And I was, you know, I was a little nerdy kid, you know what I'm saying? Because not only was I around a bunch of white kids, I was like the poor white kid. So like that's a whole different experience.
Yeah.
You know, when you're the kid that lives with your grandparents and nobody knows where your mom and dad is. So, I mean, that was weird in and of itself. And then 6th grade, moved to Missouri, and I started being around more, you know, just parts of the culture. And then 7th grade came here, and that's when I really started. Well, honestly, 7th grade, I was thinking about this the other day. Well, no, I ain't gonna get into that. But yes.
What do you mean?
I mean, we might get into it. We might get into it later. But
all right.
But yeah, 7th grade, you know, I didn't have no identity, and then I started rapping in 8th grade, and that's when I really found myself, and that's when I really got accepted. So, like, it's not like Buggz has just been around, you know what I'm saying, the urban shit his whole life. Like, that shit found me in 8th grade. That shit found me in 8th grade when I started rapping, and nobody was ever like, oh, you don't belong here, you're a fucking white boy, like, get out of here. It was always like, it was really like the first time I felt acceptance, like, you're one of us, you know what I'm saying? It was when I started doing this rap.
That's real.
Yeah,
I could definitely relate on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So did you said Missouri or Maryland?
I lived in both places.
Oh, okay.
Maryland when I was a little kid, and then Missouri in middle school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So kind of back and forth.
Meanwhile, my dad was living in North Carolina, so I'd go out there every once in a while. Got a lot of family from like Kansas, Arkansas, so that's where the roots is, like Kansas and Arkansas.
Okay, so kind of family all over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What led into you moving to like Maryland and Missouri? Was it
Maryland?
Family?
I mean,
stuff,
obviously
or?
my mom. You know what I'm saying? I was a little kid, so. But Maryland, it was because she found a boyfriend online dating, and we went out there for her to do that. And then Missouri, it was an internship. She had finished her program at University of Denver. She had to do a year internship out there, and so Missouri was fun.
What was your relationship like with your parents growing up? If you don't mind talking about it.
For sure. You know, my mom raised me. My dad was not really around. I would see him a couple times a year, but my personality is a lot like my dad's.
I feel that.
Yeah. I definitely idolized him a lot, especially when I was a little kid. And you know, my mom, I was the only child, so it was a typical single mom raising a single child, only child. And so of course, like, we would bump heads a lot, you know what I'm saying, as I'm like growing up and trying to turn into a man. It's tough for kids when they don't have a father figure in the house. Right. You know what I'm saying? I always feel
getting into a bunch of trouble.
Yeah, tons of trouble. Yeah. You know, I always feel like it's important for me to tell that part of my story, is because it's really important for us as men to step up for our kids and make sacrifices to be around.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think it's important too. You know, you're not, oh, my story is worse than yours, or like it's better than yours. It's just like you.
Yeah,
you know what
it's
I'm
not
saying?
no competition for sure.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, I know I don't have the worst life by any means. I mean,
right.
My family was real cool. My mom's parents, my grandparents, you know what I'm saying, they're like, they was really like the core of my heart growing up. Like, they kept me going. I'll probably be in all types of jail and going down the wrong path if it wasn't for how much they believed in me.
That's real.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, what were you getting into growing up? Like, any hobbies before the music, sports, anything that?
Before the music, it was all sports. You know what I'm saying? I was a football player and a baseball player when I was real young, and then it just kind of evolved into just being football. But that was always what I thought when I was a little kid. It was just gonna be the NFL. There was nothing else. And you know, I've never ever been able to sit down and stop dreaming. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm never just gonna be content with just working a regular job. It's always been about being an entertainer for me, and so, you know, it was football, and then really what brought me into this rap stuff is being a writer. You know what I'm saying? That was the part that drew me to it. It wasn't the performing or anything like that. It was just an outlet for me to write.
Just like an outlet as far as just like almost therapy in a way, or just like getting like your thoughts and feelings.
Yeah. I definitely think it was therapeutic, but it was more like a creative expression. My first rap song ever, I was in 8th grade, and it was a homework assignment on the 13 colonies. And the teacher wanted us to like make a poem or something creative about the 13 colonies. And one of the kids in the class said, "Can we rap?" And the teacher said yes. And I was like, "Oh, you can rap? I'm going to try to rap." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I made that 13 colonies. It was straight bars. And I never looked back. It was just that was so much fun that I just started writing every day.
I think anyone in the hip hop business industry as a whole, at least from what I've seen in my experience, has like either like attempted or like tried rapping even when they were kids at some point. Like, even if it was just writing down on a paper or whatever, pretending to be. For me, it was like the T.I. era, 50 Cent, stuff like Eminem.
Right.
I feel like anyone has tried that, you know what I'm saying? Then I realized I'm not rapping, but like,
it was Eminem for me. It was Eminem for me for sure. Yeah. And I mean, that's the funny thing is, of course, the first time you write, it's not going to sound good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, of course it's horrible. But that's the thing, is that I was horrible, but I was having so much fun doing it that there was no stopping me, and I just kept getting better and better. Then by freshman year of high school, I finally started writing some good stuff. I remember my first
your own music.
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah. Well, I mean, it was always writing my own music.
Fair enough.
I didn't have no beats in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? When I started, I was just writing to like little storylines in my head or whatever. And that probably continued on for 3 or 4 years until I actually started writing the beats. But my first dope verse, I was sitting in class, and that's what I would do all day long in class. Is I was just write. I wouldn't take no notes. I wouldn't pay attention in class too much unless it was interesting. But 90% of the time, I'm in that class writing verses every single day. My first type verse, I just mimicked Royce da 5'9". I just stole his flow and rapped that shit. And then what we would do is in the cafeteria every day at lunch, we would read our raps. You know, it'd be a crowd of people, and so when I started reading my like. I would have the whole cafeteria going nuts because you don't expect it from me.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah. So you lived in the Springs, Maryland, Missouri, and then you went back to Springs for a little bit and moved to Aurora?
Yep, so back to the Springs before Missouri.
Okay.
And then Missouri and then to Aurora.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you moved to Aurora this time,
yep.
What schools did you go to?
Yep, I went to Prairie and Overland.
Okay.
Yep, I dropped out of Overland after my sophomore year. Or in my sophomore year, went to alternative school for a year, and then dropped out of high school altogether.
Okay. Did you ever get GED or no?
Yep. Got my GED before my class had graduated, and I was in community college while my class was still in high school. They senior
That's
year.
Smart. That's
you
smart.
know what I'm saying? So it's like, look, I done cheated the system so hard.
You thought you were thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and then from there, so community college didn't work out. Took some time off, went and got a job at the airport, fell in love with aviation. Man, this is another thing a lot of people ain't gonna realize is fell in love with aviation. My grandparents had a family friend that was a pilot, and they set me up with flying lessons. And so I got in the air, and that was another huge passion of mine for a couple years.
Yeah.
I lived that shit. And so I had my pilot's license, and so I went and got my pilot's license. It takes about 40 hours in the air to do that. And in the meantime, I found out that Metro State had one of the best flying programs in the country. So I enrolled at Metro State. Enrolled at Metro State. And I made it through about 3 years of Metro State with all A's and B's. Okay. So like all that fucking up I was doing in high school, when I got to college and it was something that really interested me, you couldn't tell me nothing. You know?
As far as classes, college is way better. Just
so
like,
much better. There's
still like, I don't know, when I was at Front Range Community College, like it was still a lot of like, you know, there's some math and English stuff, but then you'd have your business classes. I was in for business.
Yep.
At Metro, like I'm still there. It's just basically all business classes, like for the most part. And there's a lot of interesting stuff. It's some of them are just, you know, I'm not gonna use this in life, but like some of them, like I had an entrepreneurship class. It was literally, I was just like basically writing a business plan for Mile High Minute and like promoting my brand.
That's
like,
cool, right? The whole time just being able to bring it back to the real world,
right. But that's besides the point. Did you end up like finishing at Metro or?
No, I did 3 years.
Okay,
and then I got my internship at KMG Studios, and that started my engineering career. And I got my internship at KMG, and I was just around the type that I wanted to be around as an artist. And it was just like, well, I figured out how I can make money for real, and I don't need college anymore. Yeah. So I dropped out. In the meantime, I had quit aviation already by that point because I had gotten into some trouble. So there was a whole period in between that 3 years where I quit aviation, was hella depressed, just smoking weed every day for about a year. And then went back to school to try to finish because I already done so much. But I was only back for about 2 semesters, and then I got my internship, and I was just like, yep, time to do this music shit all the way.
Okay. So, like, how close were you to finishing at Metro, and did you, like want to finish, or you were just basically sold on, you know, KMG and, like, the engineering and building in the studio and stuff?
I was in my junior year, and I would say at that point.
Did you go to school for aviation, right?
Yeah, for 2 years I did aviation, and then for 1 year I was an art history and video production major.
Okay.
When I had made the choice to do video production and art history, that's when I was already in the mindset as I'm going to do this rap. You know what I'm saying? I'd already given up on the aviation, and when I did that, it was like, all right, it's time to do this music. So yeah, I did that for a year. I mean, all the way up until I found my internship, I was planning on graduating.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started I was probably 2 weeks into my internship, and I was like, I don't need school anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Because the whole point of school is trying to find a job. You know what I'm saying? And I had found where my job was going to be.
Yeah, school is interesting, like for like entrepreneurs or creative minds, because it's like you can use it, but then there's those times like you had where you're just like, do I really need it? You know what I'm saying? Like I could just go get some money, do this, that.
Right.
So I definitely don't blame you. I took some time off school because I was like, I don't even use it, and then I just ended up going back because I wanted to. But
and I mean, I would still go back to this day. You know what I'm saying? I'd be thinking about like maybe I should just go back and study audio engineering. Like I would be a standout.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But not yet.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to FAFSA too. That's what I've been using.
Right, definitely.
If I didn't have the FAFSA, I probably
gotta get your loans right, man. Yeah.
But okay, I kind of wanted to go back a little bit too, and then we'll fast forward. So, when you did end up going to Aurora, was it a huge shift? Because you said growing up in the Springs, it was around a bunch of white kids.
Yeah, there was only one black kid in my entire grade in Colorado Springs. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I came around, and he was my friend. From the get-go, I've always been somebody that doesn't have hate in my heart. And so, but, you know, when you go to a school that's all white, it's like there's a lot of racism that was around back then.
Low-key,
for sure.
There is, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, to a degree, like, when people talk about white people, it's like, man, I can't stand white folks either.
I feel you, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're some of the most ruthless, fucked up people in the world.
Cringy, very cringy. Like,
absolutely.
And I feel like there's a lot of racism that white people don't even realize. Like they'll say something and not even realize
they don't
it's
even
racist.
get it.
Like,
it's just a selfishness almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, moved to Missouri, and that's where I started having black friends. I had a really dope black friend in Missouri named Darian Horn. We was on the football team together. Okay. And that's honestly what always kept me to black culture, close to black culture, was football. That's what really started it. Is in Missouri. You know what I'm saying? It was just like I had black teammates, and we was the best of friends in school. That's who I was hanging out with. Yeah. I'm not even thinking of it as we certain races. You know what I'm saying? That shit you realize when you're older.
Right. When you're kids, though.
But when you're kids, it's just like these are the cool people that I want to hang out with. And then same thing, when I moved to Aurora, I really was an outcast, but football is what actually made me kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? And then when I started high school, I was like, all my friends were black. And that's, so going back to what I was saying earlier, is there was a point in time in my life where I did not have a white friend for many years. You know what I'm saying? There was a time where, so I had white friends in 7th grade, but then from 8th grade until I was about 25, I did not have one single white friend.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, it's always been different. I've always had a different experience when it comes to this race shit, because I'm you know what I'm saying, can't nobody tell me I'm not part of the black community. You know what I'm saying? I'm white as fuck, but you can't tell me I'm not pro-black.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I am.
I feel that.
you know?
Yeah. When you say you relate to black people more, explain that, because I definitely feel what you saying when you said that. I was like, yo, I definitely feel that.
Yeah, I don't even know how to describe that. I mean, it's not anything that I sat out and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna have white friends. It was just, that's where I fit in.
Right.
It's tough for me to see, like, people say, oh, white people don't belong in hip hop culture or black culture, because like black culture saved my life. I was a depressed ass, lonely ass kid. And if it wasn't for my black friends bringing me in and making me part of the community, I don't know where I would be or what I would be.
Right.
So it's just like, that's where I fit in at. That's where I was having fun at. So it just I can't explain it. It wasn't no conscious decision. It was just, this is what it feels right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. From my perspective, like, why I felt like I fit in with, And I ain't gonna lie, like I did have white homies in middle school and high school and stuff too, in college.
Sure.
But like my best friend, he was black, or at least half black. But you look at him, you're like, all right, he's black. Yeah. My boy Mike, we still hoop together to this day. But like, it was like, and this isn't necessarily just about him. It's about like a lot of my homies at the time. Yeah. Like, I went to Pomona, so like you had a lot of rich white kids, but you also had like a lot of Latin kids, especially on the west and northwest side. You got a lot of Latin kids, and then you have some black kids, but it's mostly like a lot of Latin kids and white kids. Yeah. But like a lot of the white kids, they lived in these big ass houses, and like, you know, and it's no shade because I want to do that for my kids. You know what I'm saying? So like I would never hate on that.
Exactly.
But like they would always have good Christmases. They'd come home with the new shoes and like all this nice stuff after Christmas, or like they would, you know what I'm saying, make fun of me because the way I talked a little bit. Because I'm white, but you could tell like I don't talk just straight like a white person. So they would kind of make fun of me for that. Right. But when I was around like my black homies or my Latin homies, because we all lived in like the same Castlegate, you know, it was like Section 8 apartments, government housing. Yeah. When we all lived there, it was like, shit, like this is who I'm chilling with. We can all relate because we all have some of the same struggles. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously our skin color is different, right? But like, we could relate on more of those things. While some of these like rich white kids were just kind of like kind of spoiled. You know what I'm saying? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, like I said earlier. But I hear what you're saying when you could like kind of relate to. And I ain't gonna lie, there's some black kids and Latin kids with money too that would kind of be, you know, they'd be cool with the rich white kids, you know. Exactly. Yeah. But like,
I mean, I was friends with the people that was in similar circumstances as me. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I was never on Section 8. I was never like poor like that. But you know what I'm saying? Aurora is Aurora. Like,
and Aurora's more,
a lot of us are similar.
Aurora's more urban than Arvada for sure. Yeah. I ain't gonna deny that. But there's a little pockets. It just depends where you're at.
Exactly, because Aurora got some rich. You know, it's got everything.
Yeah, I have family that lived in Aurora growing up. Yeah, and they had more money than my family, and we lived in Arvada, which was quote unquote the nice side of town. Yeah,
for sure.
But but it depends. Like you said, then you go down to East Colfax, Aurora, and like, it's, you know what I'm saying, is what it is. Right. But, okay, so my bad. I just wanted to get your opinion on that, and then fast forward. So we talked about college a little bit. You said you got the internship at KMG, which is interesting because I feel like I've met a decent amount of people out here that got their start at KMG and stuff. So like, talk about.
I created the blueprint for that.
Okay,
I was the fourth employee at KMG, and really the third because the person before me didn't last very long. So. You know, I was really there from the ground up as far as KMG and helped to build it into what it is or was. Yeah. I worked there for 4 years. Started as an interned for 6 months, and that was just me learning audio and a bunch of different stuff. And became an engineer, had a knack for it because I'm also recording my own stuff and I've got limitless things to practice on. So I started getting good at it progressively. And then I became a studio manager, which is really like the top dog at the studio is a studio manager. My job was basically to just manage the day-to-day operations, the other engineers, making sure the sessions are booked.
Okay.
Yeah, and just keeping the place busy. So I did that. That was the first time when I became when I became the manager. That was the first time where I was balling off music because I was getting a monthly salary plus my session money.
Okay. That's
and it felt like I had made it to a degree.
Doing what you love.
Because I'm doing what I love and I'm like actually making good money.
KMG, so you spoke about that being kind of like the first time you were really like quote unquote balling.
Oh yeah, you had just asked, we had multiple locations. So at this point in time we were in DTC. Okay. And we had 3 studios in one building.
That's a good area too.
Yeah, that was really the peak of KMG. That's when it was really rooted in hip hop. And then a lot of us that were the core, we left and Greg moved the company to Boulder at that point. And that's when,
that's when I got introduced.
Yeah,
to
that became a whole different scene when it was in Boulder. Yeah.
What led into you leaving KMG or just then moving to Boulder? And so they moved to Boulder and then they came back to Denver, or did they have multiple locations?
They moved to Boulder and then eventually came back to Denver. What led to me, I mean, there's a million things that led to me leaving. That company at the time had all the right people, just the wrong leadership. And I mean, we get around each other and we can tell stories all day about some of those times, but basically he screwed everybody over in one way or another. Stole money from some people, When it came to me leaving, I stuck it out through a lot of it. And when it came to me leaving, I would say I was more pushed out because he wanted to go a different direction by that point. So he told me he was going to lower my monthly salary.
Oh, okay.
And that's when you were like, that's when I was like, well, it's probably time for us to part ways.
Right. Right. How do you know how KMG was formed, or like any of that backstory?
Yeah. What you mean?
Like just because it was a studio, but it was also like a school too, right? Or something?
Yeah, but it wasn't a school when I was there.
Okay.
The school thing didn't happen until they went to Boulder.
Okay.
And that was I mean, I don't even know how much I want to speak on this.
Yeah. I mean, it's up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot about the hustle behind the music. There's things that the owner of that company could do that I just don't have the morals to do. You know what I'm saying? And that school, doing the school stuff, that's the finesse of a lifetime, because basically, you're selling an education to whatever, 30 people a year. I don't know the number. But there's not 30 jobs a year. You know what I'm saying? So you're educating a lot of people, promising them a career, but there's not a demand of clientele to like suit 30 engineers, no matter what genre you're in. So
like within Colorado, or
it's the industry. I mean, the KMG school, that's not the first time somebody's come up with that idea.
Right. People have told me you should do a blog at school.
Like I mean, the kings of that hustle are like Full Sail, and there's an audio one called The Conservatory that's in Phoenix, Arizona. Those are two really big ones, and they've mastered that blueprint. They can wow you because they have beautiful studios that you can come and learn in.
Right.
They might have some really established engineers that have worked their career in the industry that you can learn from. But at the end of the day, to be a successful engineer, it takes a lot more than an education. Usually, generally with engineering, you get your education and then you have to go figure out how to make a career out of it. And in engineering, particularly, you have to go hustle up your clientele. Yeah. There's not any studios that I'm aware of that you can go become an employee and they're going to book you 40 hours a week. It's just not realistic in our business. Right. So what you learn is that you have to go out, you have to go to clubs, you have to go to live music venues or whatever you're interested in, whether it be poetry slams or if you want to do voiceover work, you go get in those crowds, but you have to go find your clientele if you really want to do this seriously. And that hustle aspect of it is not for everybody.
The music business as a whole.
The whole industry is crazy.
It's crazy to me when people just see someone who's successful within the music industry, and this could go for anyone, like an engineer, studio owner, artist, blogger, DJ, and they just see them they start making money or whatever, and just all that person cares about is money. It's like, bro, do you know how many hours that person put in?
Yeah, facts.
For free,
right?
And just trying to get their name out there before any of the money came.
Why would you want to deal with somebody that was just doing it as a hobby?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because with that, there comes a lack of experience and a lack of professionalism.
Right.
When you're paying money for something, there's a standard.
That's a good point too, and that's what I've had to realize too. Because when I first started, I would try and let me just see who's willing to just show love and work with me for free and blah blah blah. Right. And there's still a certain extent.
Yeah, when you're starting out, that's exactly what you should be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
But then as you start to actually build your brand and make money, you're like, man, I'd rather pay the homie $150 to edit this video because he's gonna do it good, rather than just hope that this person does it for free because they say they want to, and then you're sitting there for 2 months, like, where's the video?
Months, bro, for something that a professional could do in a day.
Right.
You know, for sure.
So, like, man, I feel you on that stuff. I just get annoyed because I feel like people will have started, at least in my case, they'll start following Mile High Men, they'll say a year or two ago, and they see, oh, he's making money or whatever.
Right.
But it's like y'all weren't watching in 2018 when I was posting every single artist for free and like no one paid. And I wasn't expecting no money because I just started. But like, you know, I'm sure you definitely understand that. You've been doing
I mean, when I was a starting off engineer, it was very difficult for me to find clients. And so I was hitting Twitter and Reverb Nation and SoundCloud DMs. And saying, hey, come do a free studio hour with me. Yeah. My rule was you only getting one free hour, but you can come try this out and see that this is legit. Right. And you know what I'm saying? That's really how I started building my clientele.
Facts.
My clientele really blew up when my mentor moved out of state because then he just passed me all his clientele. And that happened to be like the most popular artist in the city.
Okay. Was that, wait, let me guess. I'm just guessing.
No, you're going to be wrong.
Priest?
No, fuck.
Priest? He was just so big before I got into it, and like I know he went to like Atlanta.
Priest was our client.
Okay.
Yeah. Priest is my brother.
And you said he was an artist, right?
No, he's an engineer.
Oh,
his name was Ryan Frederick.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm tripping.
Yeah, that's who taught me how to be good at engineering, and then I taught a whole lot of people. Like if you look at my tree of people that I've taught, you'd be like, oh shit, like I've done touched a lot of the people's careers that are engineers in this city. Yeah. Now there's definitely people that I haven't even met before, but in the beginning of this shit, during that time, it was like I was training every engineer damn near. To get back to he's just in it for the money. Yeah. It's like if somebody was to say that and I was to hear that, it's like that's an instant red flag. Oh yeah. That this person is not an adult.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Not taking
like
their career serious. Probably.
Yeah, like what do you mean doing it for the money?
You ain't
that's
got no
how
bills
you gotta.
to pay,
yeah, it's like I made a choice to make this my job to pay bills this way.
Right.
Because I want to be around music, I want to make money in the music, but of course I'm doing it for the money. Yeah. You know, if it wasn't about money, I just hang out with my kids and play video games.
Facts. Well, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like go like sleep at the bus stop and like do this? I wouldn't even like if I was doing that, I wouldn't even have a phone.
Exactly,
I wouldn't even
like it's not realistic. Like I get it, your mom and dad pay for you to do everything, but that's not how the world works.
Well, and then it's also like when people, the way I look at it is at least is like the people who do invest, I'm using that leverage to kind of push the artists that I feel like, and the people, not just artists, but the people that I feel do deserve that shine, who've been putting in that work over the years. Yeah. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, you know, like a Trev or AP or whoever. Like,
yeah, you've seen who has earned their stripes in this. Right. And you've shown love to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, you've been doing this longer than me.
Long time. Yeah.
So I would definitely respect what you've done in the city and shit. So it's like,
I'm not saying everybody's got to pay for, you know, a blog, because you also want to report on the cool shit that's going on in the city. So it's like, I get it. But yeah, you're supposed to make this your career. Yeah, you're supposed to charge, of course.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it if it was all free at this point. Like,
yeah,
you get to a point where you're like, you're a dad, you know how it is. You got kids, you got different stuff to pay for, whatever. But,
yeah.
Okay, so after KMG after you left KMG, is that when you came up with Bright Future Media, or?
Nah. Okay, so left KMG, took about 6 months off, and then you know FL from Food Chain. FL approached me and told me that he was starting a studio and that he needed an engineer.
Pat Nanny, or was that before that?
Before Pat Nanny. Okay. So this was Young Amsterdam, YGAM.
Okay, YGAM. Okay.
And I had worked with FL in the studio before at KMG, and he knew, like, at that time, like nowadays, there's a bunch of really hot engineers, but at that time, I was the hottest engineer for sure. So FL came to he wanted the best of his shit. It made sense. So, and then at the same time, I preferred to go look for a situation like Young Amsterdam, because it was really from the ground up. It was really for us, by us. And I chose that route instead of going to like a Side 3 or a different studio like that.
Yeah, because Side 3 was already established.
Yeah, Side 3 has been around since before I was rapping. Side 3's been around a long time, since the 90s, I believe. Yeah. It really started popping in about 2004.
Yeah, when I went to that studio, I was like, damn, there's like plaques, drums, all
Yeah,
this crazy
yes.
stuff.
Though a lot of those plaques are from when their owner Adelio he started off as an engineer in like L.A., New York, and some other cities, and worked with a lot of those bigger groups. And then he brought it all back to Denver.
Okay.
Side 3 started popping when Carmelo got here. Adelio and Carmelo were running tough because Carmelo was trying to start a record label.
Oh, okay.
So I was 16 years old in Side 3. You know what I'm saying? Really just getting my feet wet.
Oh, so when you say you would go there, it would just be like for fun type thing?
As a client.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
So you would rap there and stuff.
Yep. And usually it was like one of my bigger homies paying for the studio time, and I might get a feature that day, but I was really just wanting to be around the studio. Yeah. But yeah, so when I left KMG, the next situation was YGAM with FL. And me and him ran that up for about a year, and we created the most popping studio in Denver during that time. Business wise though, we wasn't all the way put together, as you can kind of expect. So we got evicted twice. Yeah. We got evicted twice. Really on some bullshit, but you know, we made mistakes too.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, we was learning and young, but at the time when we got evicted the second time, my mindset was, I got to go do this for myself now. You know what I'm saying? Because we getting a lot of momentum. Everybody's recording with us. My name was buzzing. His name was buzzing. The record label side of it was buzzing. But from a business standpoint, we wasn't on top of it. So it was like, I need to go be the owner of my own company so that if we fail, it's my fault. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's tough starting out with the business.
It's definitely tough.
And like the fun part is like the making music and doing all that, the creative side. But then there's the business side and the accounting side and like
I still hate
facts. Me too. I'm still like today like just struggling with that.
It's not fun. Yeah. I mean, I'm unfortunately, I'm trying to get to a point where I can make enough money where I can pay an employee to do all that stuff. But we're not there yet. But so when YGM shut down that time, he took it back to his house, which is where he was at before we started YGM. And I took 2 years off from music and just stacked all my money that I could. And then after 2 years, the universe just gave me signs that it was time to start my shit. It was kind of like a now or never. It was kind of like, look, you're either going to start this studio or you're never going to start a studio.
Right, okay.
Because it was getting farther and farther away, for one. And for two, I hadn't engineered in a couple years. So, like, I'm getting rusty.
Yeah.
And I'm losing some of my skill. So,
need a refresh.
Yep. So it was just like, we got to do this. And that's when I started Bright Future Media.
So what year would you say that was? And like, I know you kind of, so were you, I guess, simultaneously like rapping and engineering throughout these years?
When I left YGAM, I quit it all. I stopped rapping too. And that was tough, man. You know what I'm saying? That was another like period of depression that I fell into.
Yeah.
That I almost wasn't able to pull out of. You know what I'm saying?
What, if you're open to talking about it, because I feel like that's important.
Yeah.
Like what led into your like depression and how did you get out of it, and like how do you deal with that to this day? Because I feel like everyone's goes through it.
Everybody's depression is different, and for me, I become a recluse. During that 2 year period of time, I didn't talk to anybody but 2 people, 3 people, and it was only maybe once every 4, 5, 6 months.
Yeah.
Other than that, I had completely dropped off the face of the earth to everybody else in the city. I mean, it's not easy. It's probably not the most healthiest way for me to deal with that. I probably should have just forced myself to stay active and stay busy. But I allowed myself to fall into it, and I knew I was, and I knew I would. Yeah, I mean, really starting the studio is what pulled me out of it. And even in the beginning, the first year of the studio, we opened up for business in 2019.
Okay.
Even that first year, it was still me pulling myself out of depression. And I was a completely different person than I was when the YGAM was going on. You know what I'm saying? I was having fun in life when YGAM was going on. And when I came back, I was hyper focused on the goals. And I probably wasn't very pleasant to be around because I just knew that there was a mission to accomplish. I wasn't having fun anymore.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get back to that space. When I started it, I reached out to some of the people that have been around for a long time. So Wick Jones, was an engineer when we started here, and Wick Jones was an engineer for me at YGAM too. So he started as an intern at YGAM. I think he was just moving. Well, he had been here for a while, but he wasn't on the scene. But he was living in like the Vale area for a long time, a couple years. Then he moved to Denver and he was taking the production more seriously. I think he hit my Facebook inbox one day when I was talking about music, and I said, "Hey, yeah, come up to the studio. Let me talk to you." And then he came up and I was like, "Yeah, bro, you should be an intern. This is exactly what you need to be doing." And that's what he did. And he's been able to make a whole career out of this. So when YGM finished up and I was being a recluse, Chris went and opened up his own like personal studio off Broadway, and that was dope. So I had to convince him to close that and come be part of the team again.
Yeah.
And that's why to this day, me and him still rock. You know what I'm saying? Because, and obviously that kind of shit ain't easy. And the relationships have evolved. He got to see me be in that depressed state, and he got to see me like, without all the hype. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got to see kind of like the raw side of me. So that, of course, is like, it went from a like, I'm your boss, you're an engineer situation to we're friends.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just being able to drop my guard.
That's important too.
Yeah.
Like learning how to just be a boss, but also like just being a cool but professional boss at the same time. Because you can really piss people off.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. If you,
man, I don't know if you want to talk about that side of, but like,
man,
I've lost relationships with good people because I had to be the boss.
Right.
It's just one of the unfortunate sides of this, because not everybody understands like where your heart's at or where you coming from. I'm a different person when I'm your friend versus when I'm your boss.
Right.
And when I'm your boss, it's like, this isn't going to be the easiest job here. I have high expectations for both myself and for others.
Right. And that can definitely piss people off.
Yeah, and that doesn't work for everybody. Yeah, especially people that really like you as a person and they want to be my friend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I have to like draw that boundary and be like, we're not friends right now. There's work that has to get done. There's people that are really talented and really cool that we've had to part ways because they just didn't get it at that point in their life. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so when you went through like a 2-year period, and I think when we've talked before, you said you were stacking money, and were you doing like a lawn care business or something?
Yeah, I was doing like lawn maintenance and just all sorts of mowing, cleaning up. I'm mad that I can't remember the fucking word of the shit, but
that's a good thing.
But yeah, just just grinding, doing manual labor.
Yeah. So and then you get back into the music.
Yeah.
And you said that kind of pulled you out of the depression.
Because I had a purpose again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What has been like, and I guess this could go back to when you first started too, what has always been your why with music? Because like with the people like you who've been doing this for so long and have seen success, especially in a state like Colorado where we don't have the biggest hip-hop infrastructure, like there's got to be a why behind you that's, allowed you to keep pushing all these years. I'm saying, so what has been your why with like being involved with the Colorado hip hop scene?
My goal since a little kid has always been to make history, to be written about in history books, and to change the course of society. So that's why no matter any of the accomplishments we've had so far, we still aren't even close to reaching the objective. That's what keeps me so driven and motivated is because going down as a successful local musician is far from the goal.
Right.
This is just kind of a means to get there. And yeah, we was supposed to be a lot further than we were by this point.
I feel that.
But that doesn't stop me from following my path. I'm lucky enough that God has shown me the way. Maybe I'm just keen enough to realize that he sends signals.
Do you ever feel blessed like at the fact that you have been able to be successful in Colorado hip hop? Like, yeah, you're right to a certain extent. I definitely feel you. I always tell people I ain't done shit until like some of these artists I'm pushing on my blog are like major sold out tours, plaques everywhere.
Right.
But there's still another side of me that's like, damn, like I am making a living off hip hop in Colorado, and that just seems like so like, I don't want to say unheard of because people have done it, but it's so like hard to do, and just like, who do we know that's
So
really
what's the question again?
Like, do you feel blessed that you've been able to be successful and like make money in hip hop in Colorado?
I feel blessed every day.
Okay.
I feel blessed every day, but not necessarily because I'm making money in Colorado music.
That's only like a part of it.
I feel blessed because I live like a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I had parents that were billionaires, what I would want to do is wake up every day and make music and play video games and be active in my kids' lives and live for experiences. And even though I'm not a millionaire, I get to wake up and do that every single day.
That's real.
That's why I'm blessed.
That's dope. What made you come up with the idea of Bright Future Media? Like, what's the meaning behind that? And how? And
for sure,
this studio, actually, I like to ask like run-on questions.
Yeah.
So let me just stop there and then I'll get to it after. So
okay.
Yeah, Bright Future Media.
Just start with Bright Future.
Yeah.
The name came because I felt like not only myself, but the world was in a really dark place at the time. And I wanted to send a message that we're here to not worry about the now. We're trying to make an impact on the later. That as dark as it is, because this is when Trump was just coming up. 2019. No,
Yeah.
Trump got elected in 2016. So Trump has already been in office.
Causing a ruckus.
We going through all this. You know, this is before the like COVID and the protests and all that.
It was
but like you could feel that. You could feel that energy.
Kobe passing.
Yeah, Kobe passing. You could feel that energy of just like the world is headed in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I wanted to,
time.
yeah,
COVID
yeah. I wanted to send the message that there's people still here fighting for the future. You know what I'm saying? That yeah, it's dark right now and it's going to be dark for a minute, but we're people and we're going to persevere. And there's always been great people through the worst of times, and we're going to be here setting the fucking tone of creating something bigger than us.
Right. I like that. That's real. Okay. So you come up with the name, the studio's running good. How did like the process of building the studio come together? And if you don't mind me asking, how much did it cost? Because like, when I first came in here, there's a lot of dope studios in Denver. I was like, whoa, he takes this serious. Like, this is professional. Each room has a good, like, nice look to it. It's like you can shoot a video in here just about anywhere and it'll be like a good angle. There's a bunch of different nice rooms. You got the media like set up. So if you don't mind me asking, how much did it cost and what was like that process like of putting your own studio together? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, when we started, all this stuff wasn't here. It's not like day one we just had all this stuff.
Built up.
Yeah. All this is basically a culmination of me taking all my session money and reinvesting it back into the business. So when we started, I was able to afford all the recording gear. So I knew that we was gonna have a top of the line sound and the desks and shit like that. And then we had like a couch that I got from Walmart for $200.
Okay.
And folding chairs and some of the art. Art was one of the first things I invested in because I wanted to make sure that
there's a lot of art in here.
Yeah, this place looks really weird without art.
Yeah.
Like with the walls just plain, this place looks horrible. So, you know, I did the sound paneling before we opened up. But yeah, my money basically went to the acoustic treatment and the audio equipment. And I probably had about $20,000 to take care of all that, including like also that money had to go to rent and all the things that come with starting a business.
Right.
Now we've been open for 4 or 5 years, and I mean, there's a lot invested into it now.
Oh yeah. Over time, it just gets more expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you feel about like the studios in Colorado as a whole? Do you feel like there's a lot of studios? Do you feel like there's not enough? Do you feel like the demand is just right? Like,
it's oversaturated.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because I kind of feel that way too.
Yeah.
And I feel like even since I first started, it's like there's so many studios that be popping up.
Yeah, man, it's like there's a new studio announcement every month, and I've been in this long enough that it's just I look at it as kind of unfortunate because I know the numbers behind this whole thing, and I know that most of these places can't last if you don't already have a clientele going into it. You know, it's like I'm both rooting for everyone,
right?
But I also understand like this is not a get rich quick scheme.
Right.
This is a get broke quick scheme.
You gotta really love it. Like
you gotta love it. You can't be in it for the money.
Right.
And the only reason I've been able to be successful is because I've got 10 years worth of experience. I've worked with everybody in the city for a long time. You know, when you're just starting out and you have like 4 clients, it's like, how are you gonna pay your bills? You know? Back when I was working at KMG, one of the cool things was there was really only like 3 studios in the city at that time. There was 4. There was Side 3, of course. We took a lot of Side 3's clientele because we were just as professional, just as dope looking on the inside. But our whole thing was like, we're going to be invested into the artists. We're going to be your friends. It's not just in and out like you're on an hourly type of session. It's like we really want to get to know you and like go to your shows and build with you.
And that was at KMG?
That was KMG. Okay. So we took a lot of the Side 3 clientele. Then for the people that lived on the west side, there was the Lab, which the Lab back then is completely different than the Lab now, right? Because MacD's a success story. Yeah. Like MacD has turned his studio into a fucking beautiful place.
Yeah, no, definitely.
In the beginning, it was, you know, a regular run-of-the-mill studio.
See, I didn't see that part.
Yeah.
I just from the gym when I got in there, at least I was like, this place nice.
So MacD was on the west side. There was DIA Studios. You know what I'm saying? Boozilla.
Been out here for a minute.
Yep. So that was all there was. And KMG out of all those places became the hub. Like everyone was recording there. And that just made a really dope culture because not only for us as the engineers did we get to work and see and get to know everybody, but for artists, like your session might be leaving as the next guy's coming in, and it's like, you know, it's dope artist A meets dope artist B. And not to mention we have multiple studios in there, so there might be, you know, there's just all sorts of artists, and they was always crossing paths, and that led to a lot of collaboration and networking. So that's what we don't have anymore. Now it's just like everybody's so spread out and spread so thin. We don't have no hub where it's just like everybody can just like maximize they creativity.
Yeah, I feel like even when I first started in like 2018, up north there was like no studios. There was KMG in Boulder, which I don't think is there anymore. No, I could be wrong.
No, it's not.
And then there's 432 in like Federal Heights, and those were like the only ones up north. Yeah. And then as I got more involved with the scene, I heard about what was Pat and Annie. Yep. And like all the Lab, Side 3, DIA, like all the ones you named. Right. But then like even within the past, man, like 4 or 5 years, it's like, all these other studios are popping up.
It's constant.
And like you said, I cheer for it, but at the same time, it's like it's almost similar to the artist thing where it's like I feel we could in Colorado fill the hip hop infrastructure in so many different ways. And I feel like a lot of people go the artist, studio, and videographer route. Yep. And I mean, that's probably not just a Colorado thing. I'm sure that's everywhere. But I think, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, the unfortunate thing is a lot of those studios don't last 6 months, because that overhead starts piling up and you're paying out of pocket for it because you don't have the clientele to support your business model. Right. I know studios that have blown through $100,000 in their first year on marketing, and that's lack of experience. Right. Again, I started this studio on about $20,000, and no marketing budget. So it's just like I was able to do that because I already had the experience in the industry. I already knew how to use that money. But most people with $20,000, they couldn't start a Bright Future Media with $20,000.
Yeah, I mean, I used $10K to start Mohammed, and I like. Most of it, I'd say was spent in like video, like camera and like equipment. But then there was some of it was just like blown on
Yeah, you're gonna make mistakes. You know, it's there. You know, that's
going
part
out
of
of state. Doing
there's no doubt. I'm not saying that every dollar I've spent was a strategically well spent dollar.
Yeah,
but I was definitely able to not make as many mistakes as most new businesses would.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Would you? What's like one piece of advice you would have for someone who's running a studio in Colorado now, or someone who in the world is trying to start a studio? Just like one piece of advice. Or engineer.
I wouldn't advise it.
Fair enough. It's tough, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't.
It's not, you know what I'm saying? Nobody becomes a millionaire from running a studio. You know, and that's just the nature of the business. It's stable money. But pull out your calculator and see how many $60 an hour sessions you need to run to reach $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Like this has never been like the master plan for me. This is literally just the foundation, so that hopefully we can kind of catapult ourselves to getting those millions. But this is not no great business plan.
You're keeping it a buck.
A studio is not a great business plan. It's just stable. It can be.
Okay. So you went viral like a week or two ago. You said you was the best engineer in Colorado.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. If you want, let me actually find the quote.
What did I say exactly?
Let me find the quote. When they ask who the best engineer in the city is, don't ever think it's not me.
Talk about
it.
Yeah.
I definitely had the comments booming on that.
The engineers that are better than me are not in this city. But
as far as Aurora or like Denver as a whole, like the Denver metro area,
they're not in the state.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm an engineer that can be, it doesn't matter. Put me in a room with the most famous engineers in the world and I'm going to be able to hold my own. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of,
I'm not going to be in a studio session with Mixed by Ali or Alex Toomey and get embarrassed because I just know my inside and out. And I think
you have 10 plus years experience engineering.
Yeah. So I started at KMG when I was 23 and I'm 35 now.
Okay. So you're
12 years professionally.
Most people out here don't have that experience.
No.
You're right.
What prompted me to make that post is because I just impressed myself. So we had just gotten back from a trip to Austin where we were shooting content down there.
South by?
Nah, we were out there for the Eclipse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And basically for the Eclipse, we went out there and we performed our live set. Four artists. I produced it, 4 artists, and then we have 5 band members. So we had live band.
And this is on the way?
We're out there in Austin during the Eclipse. So we start our set an hour and 30 minutes before the total eclipse. So during the whole process of the eclipse. And then our set ends right as the eclipse starts. All right. We practiced this for about a month. This is for content for my YouTube channel that hasn't dropped yet.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this sounds good though.
Yeah, we're working on it. Okay. It's going to be really dope content.
That's smart.
And we had fun. It was a great experience. But, a lot of challenges came out with it because we don't have anybody in Austin. So literally we go out there and the day before the eclipse, I'm scouting like an hour north of Austin for locations for where we're going to shoot this stuff. We didn't have a location set.
Right.
So that was our day before. And then we film. And so
you're doing it outside.
We're doing this outside.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I basically did is I brought a mobile setup to Austin and recorded. And because we have to power all of our equipment and gear, there's a generator going on. So the reason why I made this post is because I had finished some of the mixes for that project and it sounds like it was recorded in the studio. So it sounds like it was recorded indoors in here. And we literally was with a mobile setup with the generator going on in the background. And it's just like, a lot of engineers, a lot of hip hop engineers in the city, they can't mix a live band, let alone a live band outside. Let alone could they even mic a live band outside, and then let alone could they cut a generator out of that whole process.
No, that's impressive.
So I had just done something that I knew a lot of people wouldn't be able to do. So I was feeling myself when I wrote that status. There's definitely engineers I respect out here, respect they hustle, but at the same time, no engineers feeling me.
I respect that. You gotta
And they need to get better. Like a lot of the engineers in Denver are not good enough. You wouldn't be able to have me as a client. You know what I'm saying? If I was a rapper, if I was back to rapping,
Right.
and I walked into a studio session with you, you would piss me off because you're not good enough.
I've seen some
y'all aren't good enough.
Yeah.
And so if anything with that tweet is I'm just trying to tell y'all, like,
motivate a little bit.
Get better.
Yeah. So we talked about the best engineers in Colorado. There's another post I made, or a statement of yours that I posted a little while back. You make good statements, so I want to keep posting them.
Yeah,
people might
right
know.
on, man.
But the Gatekeepers one, you said it's basically, I don't have the exact quote, but like something along the lines of like, there's no, like, what is there to gatekeep in Colorado?
Right.
So if you could kind of just break that down a little bit, what you meant by that.
I think that I was feeling that way because that was a mistake I made when I was young, is feeling like I needed to be up under somebody with more experience than me. Not only from a engineering standpoint, and that's probably where I did need to be up under somebody, but I felt like I needed to network with the people that appeared to have the connections, only to like realize years down the line that they didn't really have the connections they claimed to have in the sense that they had it.
Yeah, break that down a little bit. Like people will kind of over-exaggerate their relationships with like major artists.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You see them working, or you see them taking a picture with so-and-so, or you see that at every show, or they're backstage at this show, and a lot of that is just being friends with the right promoters and the right security guards.
Facts. It's
not really you being a mover and shaker within the music industry.
Right.
Especially here in Denver. It's different in some other cities, but
no, you got a point. Because for like, I'll take pictures with some like famous people, and I'd be like kind of standoffish. My homie who's a blogger out of state, he would always tell me, "Nah, you gotta do that because, you know, it's gonna go viral, whatever."
Yeah.
But part of me also feels kind of doing it because then I'm like, damn, I'm hella, you know, not even that cool a dude,
right.
you know.
Yeah,
but like,
exactly.
But shit.
Yeah. You know, I think it's good to establish those relationships with the quote unquote gatekeepers, but you just got to understand that when it comes to Denver, there's nothing that you can't do on your own. Don't feel like you have to go through somebody to get to where you want to be. The internet makes everybody reachable. You can walk right around those gates. You don't gotta go through the gatekeeper.
Facts. And I think a lot of it just has to do with providing the right value.
Yeah.
I feel like the people who use the gatekeeper excuse are the people who don't want to provide value.
Yeah.
Like artists will complain to me like, "Oh, why don't you post my music, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
But it's like, is your music moving in the city yet?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
you know, have you been posted on Rost and Rhino or some of these other blogs first? Like, you know, like I'm not intentionally like trying to gatekeep you. It's more just like put the work in, you know.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's not the gatekeepers. This is the other thing. Is I'm also standing up for the gatekeeper in that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the gatekeeper's responsibility to go make sure that you're famous. There's lots and lots and lots of talented people in this world. Of course, the gatekeeper is going to put their friends or the people that they fuck with the most.
Right. The people they build relationships with.
Yeah, like that's what they should be doing. That goes without saying. Don't ever think anything is owed to you as an artist. Like, nobody's here to make you famous.
Right.
Nobody's rolling out the red carpet for you. Your bars ain't that good.
And even if they are, there's that's 20%.
I don't care. I don't care how good your bars are. If you rap like Kendrick Lamar, if you're not moving like a professional, nobody's just going to.
Right.
You know, you ain't Moses. You ain't going to just like part the seas.
Right. And I think that's a huge problem with hip hop in general. Not even, at least with the Colorado scene, from what I've seen, is like a lot of artists who do have talent and do have bars will like assume that's enough. Like, okay, now I should get a free video and a free promo and a free engineer, free all this. Right. And it's like, nah, bro, like,
stop thinking that this stuff is going to be given to you. Yeah. That's the same thing I was talking about earlier of like, you live with, like, your mommy and daddy pay for everything.
Right.
Like, that's just not how the world works. You
Right.
have to go invest. You have to
Right.
go. You should be pushing your issues 24 hours.
Right. And it's like, it's not like, say when I first started, for example, it's not like Trev and AP just automatically, jumped on a Mile High Mini interview. Like, I had to work to get my brand out there. And then eventually I was like making enough moves to where, they'd do an interview with me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm sure that's same with engineering. Like, you can't just, I'm going to go engineer for Gucci Mane today. Nah, you got to work up to that or whatever.
Exactly.
But people think it's like automatic. Like, they start rapping for 2 months and they get a no from someone and it's, they gatekeeping. It's like, nah, bro. It's like, let that motivate you and that'll be yes later.
Right.
Like, I still get told no.
Right.
Like, there's still plenty of artists I want to interview and they don't respond to me or they tell me no. And I'm like, all right.
And you'll understand that once you get your own connections. Once you authentically go build a connection with somebody of value, you're not gonna be like, oh, let me go make sure I'm giving this to every other dope rapper that I know. That's just not gonna be your mentality.
Right. No, that's a good point too. Like,
you're gonna want to like cater that and protect that relationship. You're gonna ruin that relationship if you're flooding that relationship with bullshit. Right. You want to make sure that people, if you are putting somebody onto your connection, you're gonna want to make sure those people are legit and respectful to your connection.
Right, right. And that's even like with some of the blog connections I do have that are like a little, like they're bigger than me, bigger than Mile High Minute. Yeah. I might send them a Colorado artist every once in a while, but it's got to be like hella dope. Like, it's got to be something that I'm like, I really believe in. Because I don't want, like you said, I'm not trying to flood like a major blog with like 20, 30 artists.
Because what are they going to do? They're going to stop opening your messages.
Yeah. And that's happened to me to a certain extent. I've had to learn. Right. But it's all a process. Okay. Also, another statement you made.
Damn, we just gonna go down the whole Twitter page.
Recently, it was. I'm not trying to be controversial. This is one I brought up earlier. Okay. But I think the hip hop scene in Denver is down bad as we've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Explain what you mean by that.
I think that stems from, I'm just not seeing the fan bases from these artists. I see it on IG. Motherfuckers get IG support for sure. I when I step out to a show, I don't see artists packing houses the way that you would think they would be with their Instagram engagement. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's different. I think maybe some people that haven't been around the scene too long think, oh, we're still building that up. No, there's been times in Denver, Colorado where we've sold out venues. You know what I'm saying?
I can name definitely a couple artists at least.
Yeah. Trev sold out the Bluebird, the Gothic peak of what he was doing.
Meezy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Jacob Campbell and Saxon after Rhythm and Flow had it.
That's right. That was sold out. I was at that show. I mean, there's been times, and I mean, let me just go back to like 2016-ish. We were putting on hip hop shows once or twice a month that were selling out. You know what I'm saying? Just local hip hop shows, because either Trev would be on the bill, AP would be on the bill, but then also like everybody that came with. There would probably be a Meezy, there would be a BMG show, there would be a Ray Reed, there would be a Buggz, there would be, several people, and we all carried the fan base. You know what I'm saying? And it was really a fun and exciting time to be around in hip hop back then, just because we had the people there. And nowadays, it just don't seem like there's too much to get the people excited. So when I talk about the scene being kind of down from where it was, it's in relation to, we need to make it more exciting again.
Yeah. I agree with you to a certain extent. Like, my opinion is like, I feel, and my opinion is only from basically 2018 to now, from what I've seen. Yeah. I feel like 2019 to 2021, like there was a huge increase as far as like the internet and popularity with Colorado hip hop, especially like the Latin scene with like the FBP and, the Springs, Lil Travieso, rest in peace, Lil Nate. Okay. I feel like their wave with the Latin hip hop out of state
definitely seems like it's growing.
Definitely. We all know what kind of happened and stuff like that. I don't need to get too deep into it. And then even like there's other Latin scenes like on the west side and north side, like different artists going crazy, but it like, I don't want to say it fell off, but it does seem like there's, put that as a title in my one of my interviews that I dropped last night, but it does seem like there's like just a lack of hunger or just lack of creativity. Like it's a lot of just, hey, I'm gonna post this music video and no creative marketing scheme. Like I feel like there's a lack of people going like out of state really taking it serious. I agree with the fan side of things too. It seems like the fans aren't taking it serious. Even Savvy with the Box Day Baby wave a couple years ago and the ass cheeks on my babe shirt. But yeah, right now it does seem kind of like just like there's still a lot of artists. I feel like there's still more than ever, but there's not like a whole bunch of hits. Like,
and I mean, how often does Savvy even perform? That's somebody that can definitely rock a show. But it's like, what, like once a year I might see Savvy like doing a show?
I think he performs a lot, but it's just people booking him and it's not like.
Okay, so then let's get into that. That's another thing is like, if somebody is booking you, why are you not promoting the fuck out of that show?
True.
You know what I'm saying? This isn't just about getting a little $500 check.
Right.
This is about really building your career, because if you not really like
taking it serious, I guess I see it, and I know just because a lot of these people be booking the promos for the shows and stuff.
For sure, that makes sense. That does make sense, and maybe that's why I don't see.
But you know, because that's a problem that you don't see that though.
Right, it's a problem that I don't see that, and it's like you should be pressing your fucking issue.
Right,
I don't care what show you are on. You're not gonna get bigger shows if not everything isn't great. You know what I'm saying? And I think
a lot of people depend on other people to put it all together.
Yeah. When we were getting our opportunities and getting shows, booked through AEG and shit like that, they would want us to sell tickets. And it's like we're gonna message or call every single person in our contact list and ask them to buy a ticket at every single show. Like, go prove your value, and then you gonna reap the reward from that.
Right. No, that's a valid point. Go walk around downtown, whatever.
Go sell your tickets. If you can pack out a show consistently, guess what? You ain't gonna be doing these $500 shows for too long. You're gonna prove that you are a business. This is a business at the end of the day. If you're profitable, if you provide value to what you're doing, please believe the elevation will happen.
Right. Another topic I brought up, I wanted to talk about was Out the Dark. I heard in one of the songs, Trev, you said right there, Buggz. So did you engineer a lot of that project or
all but like 3 songs?
Okay.
Yep.
What was it like engineering that project? Honestly, I think from my perspective, that was easily top 3, if not the top hip hop project in Colorado history. In my opinion,
that's dope.
Because like just the marketing, the rollout, and everything, and I feel like we were kind of waiting for a little bit for Trev to drop a project like that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it charted on iTunes like top 8 or 9, something like that.
Yeah,
and just like the quality of the music, like and the unique of the bars, just like all the different sounds. Like he was hitting all the different topics at that time period that were important. Great. Like I feel like that project still should be talked about and slept on. I fuck with that project heavy. So yeah, what was it like being a part of that project? And I think that shows like how good of an engineer you are as well. If you really listen to that, like you could you could really hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I still listen to that album too because I got songs from it on my playlist. So that honestly comes up a lot for me.
Facts.
That's far from the first time me working with Trev though. Me and Trev got a few albums together. For people that are familiar with Trev's career, he started off with Heights 1, 2, and 3. Heights 2, I was in a lot of those sessions as an intern. And then Heights 3 was recorded a lot with me. It wasn't mixed by me, but a lot of that was recorded with me.
Okay.
So me and Trev have a long history of doing music together. And Trev's biggest song is probably Flex Some, which he signed with the Young Money, which he made when he was signed with Young Money.
Yeah,
that's an interesting story too. So I engineered that track.
He gonna break it down in the interview I got.
Yeah, I mean, ask Trev. I feel like all Trev's biggest songs I engineered them, and I've probably only engineered maybe 20% of his work. You know what I'm saying? But when Buggz and Trev work together, bro, it's gonna be special. With Flex Some,
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
Yeah, tell a little history, man. So this was while I was at YGAM, and he had just hit me. He had just got back into town
from Miami.
Okay. And needed some studio time after the club type shit, and we ended up booking out that night. And I think we were working that night from probably 2 a.m. to 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning, which was pretty typical for me. Back at YGAM, we used to work till the sun came up. It would usually be Ray Reed. Ray Reed and me were locked in real tough back then.
My dog too.
Me and Ray were locked in tough, and so me and Ray was in the studio typically until the sun came up every single day type shit. But that night it was Trev. We had the whole studio we had a bunch of people in there. Doobie was in there, AP was in there, BMG Show was in there, and then all the Trev's friends, Squizzy Gang. They was all in there, and so we just cutting records. Flex Some was one of those, and so he ended up taking that, and he goes back down to Florida a few weeks later, and they're working on his album at the time down there, and they try recutting Flex Some a couple times, but every single time the label was like, "No, this first version was the version. This was it."
And that was the one that you.
And so that was the one that I engineered. So that whole album that he dropped on Cash Money. Yeah, all of it was engineered down in Miami besides Flex Some, and that was a Buggz mix.
That's lit.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you say that's like what would you say are like your top 3 proudest moments as far as like just hip hop, like your impact on hip hop, or like top 3 songs that you've engineered or been a part of? Including Flex Some, and then let's just say 2 other ones.
Okay, I don't even want to include the newer stuff. I don't want to include the Bright Future Media stuff because that's like another generation and evolution of what I was doing. But when I think back to when we were getting this shit started, I would definitely say Flex Some with Trev, and I would say the whole Uberman tape from Ray.
Yeah,
that shit I think is timeless.
Hell yeah.
I mean, damn near like 90% of those songs on the Uberman tape are fucking. They would still go today.
Yeah.
And
that's definitely one of those, like when you hear about Ray Reed, like you always hear about the Uberman.
You gotta listen to that. You know what I'm saying? And then the third one I'll say Spaceship by Trace Chapman because that was like
that was a good one.
Yeah, I did a lot of Trace's early stuff. And Spaceship was dope because it really just elevated. It took him to another level.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That shit really popped.
And was that the one he had the whole video too with the space, or am I tripping?
I don't know. I can't really tell you, but I know that he still performs that song to this day, and it's probably 10 years old.
Yeah. Okay. Or no, that was NASA. I think I was thinking of the one he dropped a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like aliens.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Trace is great with the visuals, man.
No,
he's one of my favorite artists in the town for his vision on those music videos.
Thanks. He even he kind of tried. He direct promo with me and stuff, and I like got mad at it. We already talked about this, so he gonna laugh about this. But I got kind of mad at him at first because I'm like, man, I'm just used to just let me do my promo the way I want to do it, so I could like help you pop. And he's trying to direct it with me. I'm like, bro, like just let me do it. Yeah. But then I had to sit back and think about it. I'm like, like he isn't just any artist. Like he's special. He knows what he's doing. So I gotta respect that and really hear what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
But he's crazy with the visuals.
Yeah, facts.
Okay. One video that's been going viral in Colorado lately has been Troy Good's Colorado Anthem.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, and what's your opinion on that? And
I've definitely seen clips of it on IG. And from what I heard, I like it. I think it's a good little anthem. I think it's funny that like, I don't know, we used to make a lot of little Colorado anthems way back in the day, 10 years ago. And they usually would kind of be, this was before, I don't know, the internet. Like this is MySpace, you know what I'm saying? So like, it wasn't clickbait back then. We was just making songs because we loved the state type shit. That's what we knew to rap about. I remember a conversation that we had one time with one of the kind of like the homie Francois, you know what I'm saying? He was a promoter at AEG. Yep. And he was telling us like
he was doing some of the first interviews out.
Oh yeah, like I mean that's damn near. I'll call him the godfather of this hip hop shit out here. Like if you know Francois, he really made a lot of things shake for a lot of people.
He's made shit shake for me, and
that's dope.
I don't think maybe I've met him. But I've talked to him on the internet.
That's cool. So I remember one time we were sitting in a meeting with Francois, me and a bunch of artists, and he was like, man, y'all got to stop talking about Colorado. We're trying to make national music. Nobody wants to hear this Aurora, Boulder, Lakewood bullshit.
He's got a point to a certain extent.
It's definitely a school of thought, and good to take into note. But
right.
I mean, I still remember that conversation, and you never gonna hear Buggz write a Colorado anthem because of that conversation. You know what I'm saying? But it is cool now that artists are creating Colorado songs, Colorado anthems, and it's funny because they do numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
they get eyes, they get posted by blogs.
Even like I noticed when I posted that, Chicago Wave, Sperry Springer, Birmingham Music, like out of state platforms are like what's going on? Like,
that's dope.
I was like, okay,
right, and you would have never expected that 10 years ago.
Right.
You got one more question?
Yeah,
I feel like we can fit it.
Yeah. Kendrick versus Drake. This obviously has the hip hop world in a huge rut right now. Everywhere I go, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everyone's talking about Drake and Kendrick stands and just going in. What's your opinion on it? How's it getting?
Musically, I'm a fan of both, so let me just start by saying that.
Yeah,
I got a lot of Drake and a lot of Kendrick in my playlist.
I feel like that's all my playlist has been shuffling to this past 2 weeks. Is my Drake and Kendrick songs.
Yeah, those algorithms is up.
Yeah. So they know what they're doing for sure.
I think Kendrick is one of the most solid people in the music industry as far as artists are concerned. And I think that even though I like Drake's music a lot, what's the message that you sending? You know what I'm saying?
Kendrick definitely has a deeper message.
Kendrick really got a message, and Drake is
more like
trying to make some money, you know? And so when it comes to the substance, to me, it's just no question. It's just no question. But it's interesting. I mean, I was always against them rap beefing because I do think it could mess some careers up. You know what I'm saying?
As far as like
I want to
for them or
I mean, I've seen rap beef where, because I'm a little bit older than you, I've seen rap beef destroy people's careers. You know what I'm saying? And they make good music, but they they whole persona becomes corny. I mean, Drake's a very big artist, but when you kind of a character and you're not genuine to yourself, it's kind of easy to expose you. A lot of us saw it with the 50 and Ja Rule beef.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Ja Rule was the biggest thing on the radio until 50 started beefing with him, and he fucked all that up because he basically just.
I grew up on 50.
Yeah, 50 exposed Ja as just kind of like a character. You know what I'm saying? And I think Drake is a character, and I think we see that in his interviews. You know what I'm saying? He's an entirely different person when he's just talking versus how he rap and what he rap about. So, I like Drake's music enough where it's like, man, I hope his career don't get destroyed because I like him. I think he contributes some dope shit to hip hop. But yeah, I've seen it before where you might still be making great music, but it's hard to listen to because it comes across as corny now.
Yeah, my opinion on that is, I already posted about it, but I think Drake is the better, like he knows how to make a better song and make it sound better, but Kendrick is the better rapper. Like he knows how to, like you say, substance and has a deeper message.
Now, would you really say Drake know how to make a better song, or Drake just chooses to rap on pop production and club bangers and Kendrick is more experimental?
I could agree. I could see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Because, I
just feel like Drake's disses have more. He just is more catchy, like more popular, quote unquote.
For sure,
the beats are different,
and I think that's what Drake is trying to do. He's trying to be a mainstream rapper. He's trying to make hit after hit after hit. I think that's his bag. Whereas Kendrick, I feel like he's not really interested in doing a whole lot of pop music.
Shit,
he's trying to make music that is challenging for him because he's great at this stuff.
Yeah.
I think
he was going at Drake's throat.
Oh yeah, when it comes to the
you
diss
could tell
track,
he was not. Drake pissed him off.
Yeah, for sure. But he's speaking on some real shit in that. Facts. But I mean, to me, I look at Kendrick's. If you go to the Damn album, I mean, that's good music. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's when Kendrick want to make mainstream shit, he can make it in a really dope way.
Right. I've always liked, I'm going to be honest, I've always listened to Drake a little more than Kendrick.
Yeah.
But I've always liked Kendrick too. He's had some classics, that Money Trees.
Yeah, man. That's probably, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, the Money Trees, always listening to that one still to this day.
Gang signs out the window, you bitch.
Yeah. And I like
that was me and my friends growing up. So like literally, man, that shit it's just such a visual.
Oh yeah. I remember hearing that. I think I was in like middle school at the time or just like high school. Man, that album, The Swimming Pool.
Yeah.
And then I like his features too. Him and Future are interesting because I'm one thing I'm sad about this beef is Drake and Future not working together anymore because I went to that concert back in 2016 and like they had some hits together
for sure.
But Future and Kendrick have had some over the years too that like the Mask Off and everything.
Yep, facts.
But yeah, I don't. The beef for me is like it's definitely. I like it from a standpoint of the attention it's bringing back to hip hop because I feel like we were kind of falling off a little bit.
We're finally talking about hip hop,
and now
again.
everyone's excited talking about it. It is a little nerve wracking too because like you hear some of the bars and it's fun, but there seems to be some real like energy and like
for real.
Like if you really listen to the bars, I like the bleed 'em lines and stuff like that. I'm like, fuck, like with the blammy, you know what I'm saying? And like,
I love the songwriting behind it because what we got from Kendrick is, and we're early in this too. If they decide to keep going back and forth, we're still in the warning shot phase.
Yeah.
What we got from Kendrick is literally 6 minutes and not a single bar was wasted. There was not a single filler bar in that entire verse. So just from a writing perspective, it was just like, man, he came with the energy.
Right.
Whereas Drake, it's like, great, you had great production. We know you're going to do that because you're Drake. And you were rapping real tough. Like, you sound real aggressive on the record.
You sounds good on it.
But, like, at the end of the day, what you're saying is, like, a lot of fluff. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Kendrick had a bad record deal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure Drake had the same deal at Young Money. Talking about Kendrick's height, like that's not really a diss. You know what I'm saying? Like talking about somebody's height is not very. There's no substance in that. There's no real substance. I can see how that could piss someone off, but it's not like. I mean, it's just kind of like poking you. You know what I'm saying? It's not really anything.
Kendrick was hitting Drake's insecurities.
Kendrick was punching. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it seemed like a lot of tension was built up on Kendrick's side from what Drake was doing with like that diss and then the AI stuff with Tupac and Snoop. Yeah. And then it becomes like a city. And that's the other part for me that's tough because I grew up listening to Drake more, but then I'm like, damn, this dude's he's from a whole nother country. Right. We're basically on the West Coast. How can I cheer for Drake when Kendrick's literally like a couple states over? So.
Yeah. And I think at least so far, Drake's keeping it real cute with the AI, with the drop and give me 50. You know what I'm saying? It's real cute. But like when you study and like, you go back to like the Nas and Jay-Z disses or the Tupac and Biggie disses, it's like these motherfuckers was fucking each other's women, wives, you know what I'm saying? Like going at each other like really ruthlessly. So like at the end of the day, you're short. That's what you're coming with. You're short. That's not something Jay-Z or Nas.
It's not like hitting real deep.
It's not hitting deep.
But then it's like, where do you keep cheering for it to get deeper?
Not me. See, I want this shit to be done with, bro. I want this shit to be done with.
That's the tough part because it's like it's fun and it's entertaining, but then like you see the disses that get into like real street stuff. Yeah. And and that's when you're like, bro, like
Kendrick is from Compton, California.
Right.
I have no hesitation that if it gets to a certain level, Kendrick will start knocking people off in Drake's camp. You know what I'm saying? You don't kill each other, right? Because now you've immortalized your enemy. But Kendrick is really from this gang shit. You know what I'm saying? And there's a way that they handle things.
Right. And even if like, and I'm sure Toronto's got.
Yeah, but Drake's not from it, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Drake didn't grow up in it. I'm sure Toronto's got gangsters, but me and Drake grew up very similar. You know what I'm saying? Single white moms. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I know kind of what that's like. It's a struggle,
but it's not a gang life.
Like, it's not a gang.
And I feel that because I grew up basically single mother. My
Yeah.
dad was there. And yeah, we were poor, but it wasn't like, I'm jumping off the porch and I'm like in a gang.
It's completely different when it's in your neighborhood.
Right.
I just think it's a different mentality. Not to say that you can't be gangster and be from the suburbs, but Drake didn't grow up that way, you know?
I would probably keep going on this topic forever.
Yeah, we definitely could.
One of Kendrick's bars, and I'm going to lead this into the next point, was talking about, he was kind of eating at Drake for being, quote unquote, not black enough in a way. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't like the way he says the N-word, this, that, and third.
Yeah.
That's probably got to hit Drake in the insecure route, but I want to lead that into the next question about being white in hip-hop.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it when you first kind of got into hip-hop?
Yeah.
To like how you feel about it now?
Let me just say this. It's okay to be white. You know what I'm saying? I love, first of all, it's bigger than race.
Facts.
Like the problems of the world is bigger than race. I think we need to acknowledge
right. The racism and
the racism, and specifically the systemic oppression.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
With you on that. Facts.
And the way that the system is kind of just rigged against a lot of people. But as people, we're people. You know what I'm saying? And we're one, and we should all be working together for the same common causes to make this world a better place. But it's okay to be white. You know, it's so funny, like this like stigma that's all of a sudden become popular of like, oh, if you're white, you shouldn't be in hip hop, because that was never the case when I was growing up.
I guess
I agree, like there shouldn't be culture vultures. You know what I'm saying? There shouldn't be people that come in and mimic the culture for their own success or their own financial gain. But this don't got nothing to do with race. Like if you from the culture, you from the culture. Right. It's not dedicated to a specific race.
I agree 100%. Fact.
And I've been around a lot of people, or a lot of real motherfuckers, and no real motherfuckers ever told me, you're white, you shouldn't be rapping. You know what I'm saying? That's like
it's always the cornballs.
It's the cornballs.
Every time.
You know what I'm saying? It's the motherfuckers who deep down are dealing with some rooted insecurity.
That you all damn near feel bad for them.
And so I just want everybody to know it's okay to be who you are. Like, don't try to be something that you're not. Don't think you got to play a role. Don't think because your mom is this race or your dad is this race that now you have to do something that you're seeing on TV. And if you're white, don't group yourself in with no oppressor. Like, go fight these causes. From like the most intelligent African American or black academics that I've ever talked to, they don't tell me to be ashamed of my race. Ever has that been the sentiment? It's always been be comfortable in your skin and do what you can do to make this world a better place. Use your privilege.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Being white in this shit, I've had a lot of conversations about race that in today's day and age, it seems like you can't even talk about race anymore. You're going to offend somebody. Right. You're going to get canceled.
Right.
You might say something that's wrong. I got no problem being wrong. I'm going to speak my mind and what I know to be true. And if I'm incorrect, educate me.
Right.
I'm here to learn. I'm always a learner. So I'm not afraid to sit up here and talk about racial shit. But it's for one, it's like spinning our wheels, right? Because it's so much bigger than race.
Facts. Yeah.
It's not black versus white. There's never going to be a race war. I can guarantee you. There's people out there that think there's going to be a race war. I can guarantee you there's never going to be a race war. It's not black versus white. But I think discussions are it's just good to have discussions with people one-on-one.
Yeah, very necessary.
And just like we should always be looking for knowledge. And so, I think it's like taboo right now ever since BLM, it's been taboo to like talk about race and like we supposed to tiptoe around that. That's not how we beat this system.
My opinion on that is like, at least from my experience in hip hop, you're right. Like there's a lot of systematic oppression and things that you can just tell it puts people of color or certain races against the odds in certain ways. Like I even see it from a small standpoint where like I'll play on a basketball team. I was playing on an intramural team at Metro. I was the only white dude on the team. Everyone else was, they're black. And you could even tell just little things like the refs would treat our team a little bit different than the other teams that weren't as black.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So you could see it.
Anybody that's like grown up around black people who have always seen the racism and understand that that's different than what we deal with in our day-to-day lives. Yeah. Man, matter of fact, let me tell a story. Back in high school, I was a little badass kid. I feel you. My friends was all black though, but so we would go into 7-Eleven at lunch, and the 7-Eleven cashier would always be watching my homies for stealing it. Yeah. And because I was white, he wouldn't watch me. And so I would,
get away with it,
bro. I would walk out every single day of 7-Eleven with $30-$40 worth of candy and snacks. Every day it worked. And no, I'm not just feeding myself. Now all my homies can eat too. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like that's real world. Like there's no denying that racism exists. Right. There's no denying that black people get treated differently by people that are racist. And there's no denying that that's that's happening on a daily basis over and over and over again. Right. But I just think, you know what I'm saying, that doesn't mean that every white person is a bad person.
Facts. Well, and it's also, there's two things I want to talk about. Is like, I feel that, well, I be confused sometimes because I'm like, okay, why are you so mad at me when I'm like actually just trying to like collaborate? Like, go be mad at the dude that's actually like openly racist, like doing all this shit, like, you know what I'm saying, that lives up in the suburbs, rich as fuck, like all this bread, and he's like openly oppressing, you know what I'm saying? Right. But you're upset at me because like I'm trying to collaborate with community.
And all it is proximity. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we the white people that are around, we gotta, you know what I'm saying, we gotta kind of take that sometimes.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure that they probably feel the same way in like country music or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure black people probably into country music and they like, damn, I feel kind of like, because I'll be pulling up sometimes the video shoots or whatever, and I'm the only white person, and you can kind of feel the little, like, it's not like a bad tension, like anything's going to happen, but it's just like, yeah, I'm different. But I'm sure they probably feel the same way when they pull up and there's all white.
Yeah, people. Right. Any, you know, you can mix races 100,000 different ways. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you're one in the overall collective, you're of course going to stand out. But I mean, I think it's important for us to just be natural, be ourselves. Facts. And just lead by example, and just, you know, at the end of the day, we all just people.
Yeah. But one point I definitely want to talk about is like, I'm totally fine with talking about race and like being honest about the systematic racism stuff, but there gets to a point where it becomes almost like a white guilt thing, and it's like, I wasn't born and chose to be white. Like, this
I can tell you right now, I don't feel guilty for being white. Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I felt that though at times. Like, people have made me feel like guilty for being white because I'm in hip hop.
See, I've always known. It's a lot easier for me as a white person to say this, but I don't identify as my race. Like, I'm not.
That is true. I try not to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give. White people is not a culture. You know what I'm saying? We're not a people. We just have the skin tone. Right. And you're never going to see like, oh, we're white, so we going to click up as a community type. It just don't work that way. When you live in the white experience, it's really every man for himself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's true. It's not
you
as
and
much
me ain't on the same team because we both white. You know what I'm saying? Like, and and anybody working in the corporate world, it's like, it's literally dog eat dog when it comes to white people.
Right. It's not like family oriented
at all. Yeah. So first of all, it's not being white is not my identity. There, you know, and when I say white people aren't a culture, it's like white people come from all different places in Europe and Russia and, you know what I'm saying? So all these, it's more like there's culture, but it's more like Italian culture, it's French culture, it's German culture, it's
Irish.
It's Catholic culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's much more like, it's micro, and so it's not like I wake up and being white is part of my identity. I've never been like I don't feel guilty for being white because those motherfuckers that own slaves ain't got shit to do with me.
Facts.
Like, those people are not my people. I hate them with the same passion that you hate them with.
Right.
I just want to do my part to contribute to society.
Yeah, I agree. And when I say white guilt, I mean like it's a matter of just like I'm willing to be like on your side and like go against racism, but like just respect me too, because it's like dead ass, like especially back in 2020, 2021 when like there was a point people was trying to cancel me, bro. Like, and I felt guilty for being white. And like now I'm a little more confident, I'm comfortable, and I've kind of gotten used to the white jokes and this, that, and the third with hip hop. But there's been times where like I'm literally like, dude, like all these people from the past, like you said, that I ain't got no clue what was going on, but I wasn't born. I got nothing to do with it.
I'm not going to be responsible for somebody else's actions. Let's not act like in 1865, every white person was pro-slavery. There was good people. There was good white people with good hearts who wanted that to end just as badly. And if I lived back then, I'll be one of those white people saying, "No, we shouldn't be doing this."
And
go ahead.
And there's other cultures that were doing slavery too. It wasn't just white people. It wasn't just white people. It's just different.
It's just different because slavery's been around for thousands and thousands of years. But you know, the North Atlantic slave trade, slavery was used in a different way. You know, a lot of times historically, you could work your way out of being a slave, or it would be over a period of time, or you know, saying we really the part about the North American slave trade is we really exploited people in a way that was just horrible. You know what I'm saying? There's no other way to describe it, you know, and erase people's identities. And like, so like, I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, there's always been slaves, because white people, you know, during that time period, they was doing it worse than how it's been done historically.
Yeah. And maybe I haven't done enough research on that, but I mean, I've heard from the research I have done that it was other cultures, but you got a point. It is probably, I'm sure it's different. Yeah. Our version of it was a lot more violent. Like, what has been your experience? I mean, I know we basically went through most of it, but like,
I've always been embraced by the culture.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's a lot different now though? Like just.
Yeah, I think this idea that white people don't belong in hip hop, it's a new idea. That was never the message when I was growing up listening to Eminem. You know what I'm saying? Even from the get go, I mean, there's always been white people in hip hop. There's always been white people making dope contributions. What I think is we just don't want white people that are exploiting the culture, and we don't want white people. And I think this is where it circles back to Drake being half Jewish.
Right.
Is we don't want people portraying an image to our communities and to our kids, because kids are the future, that, oh, you should be doing drugs or you should be violent, or a lot of the music promotes that isn't healthy for our communities and for our children. And I think, you know, that's ultimately what like Kanye touches on a lot when he's been getting canceled recently, is like, do we blame the Jews for that? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit on here and say the Jews are responsible for A, B, and C. But like when we looking at the top of the food chain, who's ultimately responsible for pushing the message in entertainment
behind like the labels and stuff.
Why are the rich people spending money with the artists to talk about bullshit and not the people that are here to build up the communities? Because there's also some really dope, talented artists that message is completely different than what the mainstream wants to sell you. And I feel like, does Drake play into that because it helps his pocketbook? And if he does, that's where the issue is.
Did you see that clip of Ice Cube when he was talking about like basically, I don't want to say word for word what he said, so don't quote me on this, but it just seemed like the subject that he was getting into when it came to that was that the labels basically do what you were just saying, and that like the CIA and all these people are kind of behind the music, right? And it's like there's a propaganda behind it that has infiltrated the streets with this negative music about drugs and gang banging and killing and stuff like that. Like, do you feel like?
I think.
Did you see that clip?
No, but I think Ice Cube knows better than I do.
Yeah.
I think we should listen to whatever Ice Cube is telling us.
He's got.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's lived that.
I would pull it up. It would probably take me too long. But okay, to go off that point, because I feel you. When I first started blogging, I didn't really think about what I'm posting as much. as I've gotten more into this, I've kind of had a battle with myself, just to be straight up.
Yeah.
Like, where artists will book promo and that's what they're talking about, their music. And I try my best to clean it up when I can, like blurring out guns or just like maybe cut, like I'll let the song get negative, but then there will be a point where it's like a little too negative and I'll try and cut that part out of the promo.
That's smart.
So like I'll try to do it, but at the same time I'll still almost feel guilty, or like I'll feel like, especially the more and more I've gotten into it, I'll feel like, damn, like this music isn't healthy. But then it sounds good, and I'll be listening to it in the gym, and I'm like, damn.
So, like, it's not our job to censor the art, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, gangsters still deserve to have a platform to speak their mind and talk and speak their truth. You know what I'm saying? And other people need to hear that. I think where it clashes is
because that's what they're living.
Why are we only getting fed the? Why can't we have some meat and potatoes with our cotton candy? And
valid point.
And
the veggies
are all the people that are paying my high minute and you know they're getting in the video with all the guns, are all those kids gangsters, or do some of those kids come from good families?
A lot of them are faking it,
and they're just portraying it because that's what they think that's what they think is gonna get them on.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and that's a problem too.
I was at a music video shoot this past weekend, and I ain't gonna name drop, but the kids that was in it, they're not kids, but they're early 20s, so they're a little 4 or 5 years younger than me. They were talking about that stuff, but they were the most friendly, like chill dude. They lived in a neighborhood that I spent like 2-3 years in. Yeah. It's in Denver, but it's not the worst neighborhood. And I'm like, I don't know them personally, but I'm just sitting there like, you know, like I'm not trying to assume stuff about people, but like it seemed like they were kind of just like saying this stuff because it's popular.
There was a time I was a high schooler. I was a little gangster rapper in high school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts.
And it's just like that's what the people around me was doing. That was what was cool on TV.
Yeah. That's a valid point.
So it's like I'm not immune to the bull either. And really like the young mind in general is very susceptible to like portraying what seems cool. But I think we just have to understand that our power isn't in that. You know what I'm saying? Our power is in knowledge and passing that knowledge along. Our power is in preparation, dedication, and like to really be cool, you have to understand that.
No, that's valid points. Also, what I want to touch on, the Westward magazine cover. What was your opinion on that? Because I'm sure you've seen the noise.
It's like the equivalent of clickbait. It's like, let's do some controversial shit so that we can get some buzz, piss people off, get our interactions up, or engagement up. They knew what they was doing. They set off to piss people off. I've seen them do it before. I've seen the Denver Post do it, and it's bullshit. But they're a business, and that's why they do it, is because they're gonna do things that make them money. To me, it's like it's a clear indication that the Westward isn't doing too well financially, because they have to reach, they have to have the shock value in order to promote their company.
Yeah. My thing with that was like the problem with that is like you kind of put those stereotypes in people's heads with those images.
For sure.
And that can be damaging and like
it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that because it's a business it's defendable.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying I know how these businesses work.
Yeah.
And they put the dollar over everything, including they're willing to offend groups of people.
My thing with that also too, to go off your point, was like I was having trouble with it because to go off your point earlier, I'm confused because I'm like, okay, they post that, but what's the difference between that and me posting an artist who's talking about gangbanging stuff? You know what I'm saying? As a blogger, like what, you know? So it was like a battle in my head.
I know you struggle with that because you've brought that up to me before.
Yeah. So I'm like looking at the post and I'm like, yeah, I can see why people think that's racist and that like can set those stereotypes in people's heads. And that's how, rest in peace, Elijah McClain, stuff like that happens. But at the same time, like, why am I allowed to post this stuff? And like, maybe it's because I'm clearly more involved with the culture.
Yeah, I think that's got a lot to do with it.
And like, I actually listen to hip hop and support it. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know. It's just some battle in my head, I guess, with that topic. Like,
it's not a moral dilemma for me. I can record gangster rap, and I don't know. I mean, I've got friends that are gangsters. You know what I'm saying? It's. I've also got friends that are prostitutes. It's like it's not that I'm trying to glorify any of these things. It's just that we're all people, and I feel like my relationships, my friendships with those people, they're benefited by their relationship with me and vice versa. I mean, we're all here to talk to each other, and I think everybody knows we're not perfect. And so if I just feel like I'm too good to talk to so-and-so because they're this or that, what kind of impact am I making?
True. I like that.
So I mean, you know what I'm saying? And I listen to gangster rap. You know what I'm saying? I love that kind of music.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
When I'm in the gym, like, ain't nothing gonna get me.
I don't feel like I'm too good for nobody. And I think everybody deserves to have an outlet. Maybe that's the root of it is I feel like, you know what I'm saying, if you in the streets, you deserve to come into a studio and be able to release and talk about that experience. Yeah. Because it is therapy at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And I think we all grow and we all mature over time. Right. And I think, getting that out, I mean, at least for me as an artist, when I would make music and I would talk about shit that was unhealthy, I would start being aware of that more in my day-to-day life going forward. You know what I'm saying? Music helps me heal, and I think it helps other people heal too. Right. So,
that's true. Because you don't want to shut off the voice to someone like that.
Yeah, now it'd be different. It's different when somebody's exploiting the culture. When
like intentionally starting like
intentionally,
and like,
I mean, or glorifying. Like, and saying like, oh yeah, y'all need to be more gangster. Like that's pretty weak to me.
Like posting like real street beefs and stuff. Like, I've seen
there's a lot of ways people do it that's ugly and like. That's just not okay. But you know what I'm saying, you just have to make that decision for yourself. Like, where do you draw the line, and what's this right in your soul?
Right. And that's a valid point, because me posting a rap, my opinion on a rap list or whatever, that's probably ugly to some people. That's probably crossing the line. To me, I'm like, hey, it's music.
Yeah, exactly.
But I see other blogs posting straight like real street beef stuff, and I'm like, see, that is past the line to me. I ain't doing that.
Exactly.
And I'm willing to interview a gangster. I'm willing to, you know what I'm saying, pull up to the hood and you tell your story. Now, don't go crazy and start dissing a whole bunch of people and blah, blah. If you do it subliminally and I don't know. Yeah. But, like, don't intentionally, like, make it known and get me involved with it.
Right.
But at the same time, like you said, they deserve a voice too. And I feel like a lot of people are too scared, or they don't just, and I feel like that's racist in a way, is where like they won't look at the root cause of a lot of the gang and this, like the systemic racism and stuff like that. And they'll automatically like shut those people down. Right. Instead of like, well, let me listen to this dude. Like, what's his story, and like why is he like that, and what are the root causes to this? Instead of judging him by the cover and he's a bad person. And
faking it is one thing. I don't think anybody from either side respects a faker. You know what I'm saying? Right. But also, like, I know if I was born into the right situation, I'd probably be a gangster too. Right. And I we got to heal from that. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it does come down to there ain't enough money in these communities. So, like, let's go get the money.
Right. And it's also, too, there is different ways of gangster or war, and it's just done in different ways. Like, we're literally going to other countries and killing people and going, you know what I'm saying?
America's a fucking gangster.
Like, but we, and I respect the veterans, so don't get me wrong. We glorify these people, but we look at the people in the streets who are going to war, and we, I'm not saying they should be glorified and like, because
the truth of the matter is we don't need war neither.
Right.
We don't have to be in these other countries.
Right. And and that's kind of the whole point, is like, people's just mindsets. They don't be trying. I feel like people don't try and look deeper into things. They just look at things on the cover and just.
It's a lot of it is just spoon fed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just that's why media is so powerful, because it's like they normalize a lot of the shit that we probably need to wake up to.
We don't have to touch on this, but I kind of wanted to bring it up because I go to Metro, and like the past week, there's been an Israel-Gaza protest and like an encampment. And I was even on Tuesday, I was trying to finish my homework, and like dude was like, I'm in the computer lab, and dude was kind of like, he was cool with me, but he was like trying to close the lab. I'm like, what's going on? Like I'm trying to finish my homework, and he's like trying to close the computer lab, and you could tell he was kind of like, should I kick this dude out? Should I not? So I'm like getting stressed out because I'm just trying to get this homework done.
Right, for sure.
But they're protesting. They're, you know, even the cops showed up. They was taking some of the kids out. Like, what's your opinion on this protest at the colleges? And like, do you just kind of try to like not even pay attention to it too much? Like the politics.
I pay attention. I pay a lot of attention. I'm pro-Palestine. I think protesting is a very effective method of a large group of people raising their concerns. There's a lot of power in protesting, you know what I'm saying? Because as big and bad as the government is, you can't stop a mob of people. You know what I'm saying? There's not enough of them. So when all the people kind of agree, kind of agree on something and use their power together, it really shows, you know, that can no government really control us. Not yet. In the history of, you know, some of these countries, revolutions have been started from protesting, you know what I'm saying, that have toppled governments. I think it's important for us to be able to exercise that right, whatever the cause is. If there's enough people that are against something or for something, it's the government's job to adapt to what the people want, not the people's job to adapt to the government.
I'm going to just let that pause because that was a valid point. That was a good point. I never really thought about that. How'd you see Key Glock and Big X sell out at Red Rocks? That went viral on a lot of blog pages. Yeah. Dope. Happy for him. I would love to see a Colorado artist do that. Right. Or at least like the hip-hop artist, because it's been done with like EDM artists and stuff.
Shit like that.
But
Red Rocks, I think, is the best venue in the world.
Facts. How do you think hip hop can take advantage of that out here, or do you think it's kind of tough?
Oh, it can be done. You know, you need 10,000 fans. That's why I'm trying to go hard on the artists and say y'all need to start bringing y'all fans out to y'all shows, start promoting these shows, and if it's not a show worth promoting, stop fucking taking the $500 check. You know what I'm saying? Because you need to show up to your set with a crowd that knows your lyrics. And it starts with 50 people and then 100, and then you grow from there. And to get to Red Rocks, you need 10,000. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to make an impact, get to 10,000 people. You know what I'm saying? If you got 10,000 people that know your lyrics, then you can do anything you want to in the music industry.
And I like that too, that you bring that up, because there's a certain balance, I feel, to being at shows, networking and performing, but also having a celebrity mystique about you, where it's like you said, you need to get out and do those shows, but if you become over available and you do too many shows and you're not really putting the effort into marketing, you kind of lose that mystique and lose that almost celebrity about you.
Be smart. Stop saying yes to everything.
Facts.
So many people just say yes, especially if a check's involved.
Right.
Nah, man, this is chess, not checkers. Be strategic. Take the right shows. Organize your fan base. Excite your fan base. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's valid, because I went through a phase like during, I would say, February to March, where I was kind of getting booked for like a lot of like cheap stuff, and I was going out every weekend, sometimes multiple times a weekend, and I noticed like, oh, that Small High Minute went down in a way, where it's like people, they're used to me now, but when I don't pop out for 4 or 5 months, 6 months, and I'm like, I finally pop out, I run into Squizzy goes, what is that? You're out? Like, what are you doing out here? Like, people be shocked in that value. Like, people come up. Like, it's crazy. Like, the difference in the way people treat you when you hold yourself like to a certain, you know. And I feel like it's just like you said, strategic. And it's not just about that, you know. But also, like, with the money thing, to go off your point too, is like, yeah, not all money is good money, because it's like, and I had to really like change how I moved with that, because I like, my problem was I was always like willing to work with everyone, and then I started realizing like it's okay to work with budgets, but it has to be people who actually like have a story to tell or provide value, and it's like quality music. Like, don't work with people's budgets when it's out. That's like, just to be straight up. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. It's not good for your brand, or, you know, it's not good for nothing.
And I've really had to learn that, and like, you get more quality clients when you actually just like work with more professional people
also,
who take their stuff serious.
If you picky in what you take, your value goes up too. Because if you say yes and you're at a lot of bullshit, you know, events or whatever, the type is gonna look at you and be like, nah, that's probably not our target. You know what I'm saying? They don't represent what we represent. If you wanna do dope, align yourself with other dope
points. All right, finish it out with a couple more questions. Now get out your hair. Usually I say the rapper, top 4 rappers, whatever. But this time I'm gonna say Colorado mogul Mount Rushmore in hip hop. So basically anyone involved with hip hop in Colorado history, who's on your Mount Rushmore?
Trev, Doe, Ike, AP.
So all artists.
Oh man,
I was surprised you went all artists.
All right, so
I mean, that's the easy thing to do, but
yeah,
Trev,
man.
AP,
okay, I'm
those
all
are
right.
good names.
So let me. All right, so
those are your top artists.
That's who I feel. Those is our. You know what I'm saying?
They
That's
represent Colorado.
Yeah, but you're right. I did just stick to artists. Let's go. Francois, Trev, Doe, Squizzy Taylor. Man, do I go Squizzy or K-Tone?
Okay,
do I go Squizzy or K-Tone?
You said your artist, so for the next 4, there's no artist on that 4.
No artist at all.
Yeah, just like moguls outside of
no artists.
Or at least people like they can make art, but they're not known for being artists, I suppose.
Okay, so we keep Francois in there. Now I got room to put K-Tone and Squizzy Taylor on there. There's just so many people that can be in that 4th spot.
Yeah.
Not gonna put an engineer on it. No more DJs. I think we have to go Mike Coates because he's still active. He's still active, but like you got to think back to like one of my biggest influences in this shit is Food Chain. You know what I'm saying? And so all those guys deserve to be on this list, but Mike is the one that's still pushing for the city.
Yeah, he's been pushing EME a lot. And EME's man, that dude. If he keeps going on the right path, his talent is out of this world.
There's so many talented people though. It's hard. Facts. It's hard. It's not, you know what I'm saying? Because it's so much more than being a dope artist. Like you also have to, in today's day and age, you have to have social media on lock. You just gotta be able to move. It's so much bigger than just being dope. But yeah, I just met Emmy like last weekend or 2 weekends ago. We were in a writing camp type shit. So
was it the one with Rico?
Yeah.
Okay. How was that?
Rico. That was dope.
I've seen a lot of people.
That was dope. It definitely was just soaking up a lot of game.
You think that
made me think more about, you know, like to me when I make music, it's like such a feeling. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't give a fuck about the lyrics if it make me feel right or it sound right, the right vibe. And so it made me really like focus in, like I gotta be a little bit more strict on the messaging. You know what I'm saying? I'm working on a record right now, and I hit bro, and I was like, hey, we got to rewrite this hook, because we wasn't talking about the hook. It just sounded good. Yeah. So it was definitely beneficial, and everybody in there was great, and it was great chemistry. You know, I just wish there was more of that kind of, like, there's hundreds of artists that need that kind of camp instead of 16.
So what do you think will come from that, or what is like the...
I mean, it wasn't really supposed to be nothing other than people honing their craft.
Okay, getting better.
I like that. I hope we build off of it, and I hope we do more like group writing projects. Okay. Collaborative.
Yeah, it seemed like something new and dope. Like,
because imagine 5 people sitting in the room, but only one person is the artist for that song. You know, somebody else might lay some background harmonies or whatever, but 5 people are writing and one person is recording. It's just fun. It was really different. Made us step out of our box. Yeah. Yeah.
LeBron or MJ?
Michael Jordan.
Why?
Michael Jordan's a killer mentality. You know what I'm saying? Ice water dripping through your veins type shit. LeBron is a social media influencer.
Damn, okay.
And I think that's a great thing too. But when it comes to basketball, I just, you know, I want somebody who's, you know, motivated to just die on that court. You know what I'm saying? Like, just killer mentality. Yeah, and I put Kobe number 2.
I was just about to ask about Kobe. Yeah, I was going to say where you rank. Okay. Yeah. So you put, is LeBron 3rd then, or where do you have LeBron?
I think Kareem's 3rd.
Okay. Damn, so you're not really feeling LeBron that much.
But I like LeBron, though. See, my son's favorite player is LeBron, and I got nothing against that. Like, I get it. I mean, like, right, like, he the most physically dominant basketball player of all time. So it's like nothing but love and respect for LeBron. But there's so many greats, and it's just like, for me, I want somebody who's ruthless with the shit. No forgiveness, not worried about being friendly. You know what I'm saying? That's when I call LeBron a social media influencer. It's like he's liked and loved by everybody, damn near. And that's a great thing too. But
Kobe and Jordan made people hate him.
They're hated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm a diehard Kobe fan, bro. I named my son Bryant.
Okay, dog.
I ain't even gonna hold you.
Yeah.
But I think LeBron's the GOAT. Just based off of like his stats.
Stat-wise, you can't argue.
And like, yeah, he don't got 6 rings, but the dude's been to 10 finals. Nearly half of his career he's been in the finals.
Yep.
I do agree with you on the killer instinct. Kobe and MJ had that killer instinct.
Yeah.
My thing with MJ is, like, he did take some time off, and, like, I don't want to disrespect that. I didn't even look into why he did, but now I know why.
Yeah.
And I feel like towards the end of his career, and same with Kobe, they weren't as great stat-wise. LeBron's still going, and he's 39.
Yeah. Like, there's no denying how great LeBron is.
If you want someone to take that last shot and, like, not care, and you definitely want Kobe or MJ taking that last shot.
Absolutely.
For sure. And they're better scorers, I think, than LeBron. Like, just pure scoring.
Yep.
But LeBron,
they better shooters.
Yeah. But LeBron around game, the assists, rebounds.
Right. LeBron's so nice, man.
Yeah.
You can't argue with that neither. He's definitely top 5 for me.
Jokie's definitely going to go down as, like,
we got to win rings. Yeah. You got to win rings before you can really, like, put Jokic there. But I do think you can put Jokic, even if Jokic never wins another championship, you can put Jokic above Wilt, and you can put Jokic above Hakeem Olajuwon.
Maybe Hakeem. I don't know about
you. A
Wilt.
Stat guy.
Yeah, I'm definitely a stat.
Listen, those Wilt stats mean nothing, man. He was balling against a bunch of 5'11".
I will agree with you on that.
You know what I'm saying?
The competition now is way better. I kind of hate I mean, I get it why the people say, oh, the 80s and 90s defense.
Yeah.
They were rougher. True.
Yeah.
But skill-wise, now, knowing I could go play pro in the 50s and 40s.
Yeah, you could. Will might be the most dominant, but he was just better than everybody in that time. But also the thing that kills me with Will is they wasn't really keeping stats. You know what I'm saying? It was much more, it was much less formal.
True.
You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure somebody said that with the 100-point game, like, what was it, the 100-point game? No, I think it was for his rebounds. At the end of every game, they would just ask Wilt how many rebounds he had that game. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of changed. Oh, that pisses me off now.
So to me, I can't put Wilt as a top 3. Wilt, he's just too old. It's outdated. He can't be a top 3. Hakeem, best defensive center of all time, 1 championship. Jokic, best passing center.
Hakeem won 2, no? With the
I think just 1.
I think he won 2.
Did he win 2?
Right? Those 2 years that MJ was gone.
Oh yeah, I think they did go back to back, didn't they?
I'm pretty sure they did.
But 2 versus 1, I mean, it's kind of similar. Hakeem definitely the best defensive center of all time. Jokic is like the best passing center of all time. You know what I'm saying? That's why Jokic is, to me, already in the conversation, because we've never seen a big man that can pass like he's a point center. We've never seen a point center in our lives. So that's why I love Jokic.
That's true.
But now why Jokic got a long way before we're talking about passing Shaq or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is because those guys got championships, like hands full of rings.
A bunch of them.
Yeah.
And the records are crazy.
And the records, yeah.
No, it's valid. I think right now, Jokic's definitely top in the 5 to 10 range, in my opinion, as far as bigs.
Yep.
But I think he will go down like top 5 for sure, no doubt.
Feel that.
City or mountains?
Mountains.
Like the mountains more.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wasn't going to ask that because I was like, oh, he's going to say city, but mountains. Mountains are peaceful.
I love the mountains.
All right. Well, I think that just about wraps it up. Do you got any final thoughts, any last minute things you want to speak on or anything?
Man, we touched a lot.
Yeah.
We touched a lot, bro. Thanks for having me on. This shit was fun to just kind of talk about and just see where the conversation took us. I think we've talked about some cool things that maybe we can expand on in the future.
Yeah. No, yeah. Every time after an interview, I'm like, oh, I could have brought this up. But this time, I feel like we pretty much hit like.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't get to talk about is y'all need to go listen to Lano's album, Us. Okay. Executive produced by me. I mean, that album got a great message behind it. And, I mean, it's great music. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times, it's just like a lot of the stuff that's got a great message, the music kind of gets lost. But my bro really put together a masterpiece as far as from the writing to the production, the work we put in on it, the growth from when we started it to when we finished it. It's a special album that is my favorite album that I've ever worked on.
That's dope.
Yeah. So I encourage anybody to go watch that.
Hell yeah. No, yeah, you've definitely been pushing him a lot.
Yeah.
I've been seeing it. So.
Yeah. And he doing his own thing
does
too.
Quality
it ain't just
music
me.
Too.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all go follow Stevie Buggz on everything. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that. Links be in the description of this interview. Make sure y'all go stream Lano's new project. Assuming he's probably got some more stuff on the way.
Hell yeah.
Make sure y'all go follow Mile High Minute on everything. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that. Links be in the description.
Bright Everything. Go follow Bright Everything on YouTube.
Yeah, go follow Bright Future. If you need studio time, any of that, man, make sure y'all tap in with Stevie Buggz, the hottest engineer in the city, as they say. You know what I'm saying? But leave a comment. Let us know, like, what was your favorite part of the interview? What was like the part that kind of stood out to you the most? What was the biggest gem you picked up from Stevie? You know what I'm saying? Leave a comment, leave a like, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button to stay notified when our latest news drops. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, man. All love. Thank you, bro.
Mile High Minute, #1 blog in the universe. We out. Appreciate you.